Ladies, let's start with the truth that almost no one talks about. Most women have no idea how magnetic they already are. They don't realize that a few subtle habits, not drastic changes, not manipulation, not even saying the perfect words, can make a man feel so drawn in that he thinks about you constantly. He feels pulled, almost magnetized without even understanding why. Think about it for a moment. You've probably noticed how some women enter a room and without being the most glamorous or even the loudest, men turn their heads. There's something in their energy, something alive that makes people lean closer. That something is what I call embodied feminine energy. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's exactly the heart of this conversation. You don't have to become someone else. You don't have to play games. Instead, it's about uncovering and expressing the parts of you that are already magnetic. Your playfulness, your presence, your softness, your vitality. And by the end of this series, you'll know exactly what these habits are, why they create attraction on a deep, primal level, and how to embody them naturally. Why attraction isn't just about looks. Here's the first thing we need to set straight. Men, even the most emotionally mature, are still visual and sensual by nature. That doesn't mean they're shallow. It simply means that their biology is wired to respond to signals, subtle signals, that activate attraction. Yes, beauty catches the eye, but what makes a man stay and crave you is far deeper. It's about the qualities you embody. Jung spoke about archetypes, the patterns of energy and behavior that live inside all of us. One of the most powerful feminine archetypes is the lover, not just in the sexual sense, but the woman who radiates warmth, openness, and vitality. When you embody that, you're no longer just attractive. You're unforgettable. Feminine energy is not about pretending. Let me clear something up. Feminine energy isn't about shrinking, being passive, or trying to act girly in a fake way. No, real feminine power is magnetic because it's authentic. It's about softening into yourself, expressing joy, being present in your body, and letting men feel your energy instead of only hearing your words. It's about what Jung described as the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When your energy is alive, playful, and receptive, it creates that spark, the reaction, that transforms not only how he sees you, but how he feels about himself in your presence. The 5 feminine habits that ignite desire. In this video, I'm going to break down 5 feminine habits that naturally ignite attraction. Habit number 1, playful teasing with warmth. Let's imagine a scenario. You're on a date. He shows up 5 minutes late. Many women would either brush it off coldly or complain directly. But a woman rooted in her feminine energy smiles and playfully says, "So you're one of those men who likes to make an entrance, huh?" With a little sparkle in her eye. That one line, light, teasing, non-judgmental, shifts the whole energy of the date. Why? Because playfulness communicates confidence. It tells him, "I'm comfortable. I don't take things too seriously. And I'm fun to be around." Playful teasing is like emotional foreplay. It draws him closer without pressure. It says, "I see you, I enjoy you, but I don't put you on a pedestal." And here's the key. It must be done with warmth, not sarcasm. Sarcasm shuts men down because it feels like criticism. Warmth, on the other hand, invites. It makes him laugh, lean closer, and want more. Why playfulness triggers attraction? Playfulness works because it activates his boyish side. No matter how grown up or serious a man is, every man has a playful, adventurous part of him that longs to come alive around the right woman. When you tease gently, you're not insulting him. You're inviting him to play, to flirt, to chase. Think of it this way. Attraction without playfulness is like a song with no rhythm. It might have beautiful lyrics, but it lacks the energy that makes you want to dance. Carl Jung once observed that the creation of something new is not accomplished by the intellect, but by the play instinct. Play is what brings relationships to life. When you tease warmly, You create that spark of novelty and lightness that makes a man feel excited just to be around you. Examples of playful teasing. Here are a few examples to make this real. If he brags about his cooking, you can say with a smirk, "So when's the Michelin star coming? Or should I bring the fire extinguisher just in case?" If he admits he loves pineapple on pizza, you can laugh and say, "Oh, so you're one of those people. I don't know if we can be friends now." If he talks about his morning routine, you can tease, "Wow, you're disciplined. Should I be intimidated? Or are you secretly hitting snooze like the rest of us?" Notice how each one is light, playful, and inviting. None of them tear him down. Instead, they create banter, the back and forth dance of attraction, adding warmth through energy. The real magic isn't just in the words, it's in the delivery. A smirk, a lingering smile, a light touch on his arm when you tease him. That warmth makes him feel both challenged and accepted at the same time. Men are wired to respond to this combination. It excites them while making them feel safe. Without that warmth, teasing can come off as cold or harsh. With warmth, it becomes magnetic. Why this matters for you. When you learn to tease playfully, something inside you shifts too. You stop worrying about being perfect, and instead, you start playing with life. You become more confident, more alive, and more fun to be around. Not just for men, but for everyone. And men notice. They might not even be able to explain why, but they'll find themselves drawn in. They'll feel like you're different. Because most women are too afraid to flirt. Too caught up in logic, or too busy trying to impress. When you show up with playful teasing and warmth, you stand out immediately. So here's your takeaway for today. Start practicing small moments of playfulness. Smile when you tease. Let your energy show warmth, not judgment. Invite him into a playful dance instead of testing him with sarcasm. Remember, attraction isn't about becoming someone else. It's about embodying who you already are, with more presence, more joy, and more authenticity. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." With playful teasing, you create the spark for that transformation. Habit number 2. The subtle art of intentional touch. Awakening desire without words. Now that we've explored the power of playfulness and warmth, let's move to the second feminine habit that ignites attraction. In a man's body and mind, touch with intention. Touch is the most primal form of communication we have. Long before language existed, before words could be exchanged, human beings expressed connection through touch. Think about it. Babies don't need words to feel safe in their mother's arms. That gentle skin-to-skin contact communicates love, safety, and presence instantly. And the same truth applies to attraction between a man and a woman. A single touch, when done with intention, can spark chemistry more powerfully than hours of conversation. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Touch is the literal physical version of that contact. It's where two energies meet. And if the touch is intentional, both are transformed. Why touch is so powerful? Here's why touch works on such a deep level. Touch bypasses the logical brain and speaks directly to the nervous system. Men are wired to respond physically to even the lightest brush of your hand. It doesn't have to be sexual. In fact, it's more powerful when it's subtle. Think about how you feel when someone gently brushes against you by accident. You instantly notice. Now imagine that same kind of touch, but done intentionally, with warmth and presence. It lingers in his mind. He feels it not only on his skin, but in his chest and in his imagination. This is what makes touch unforgettable. Words can be forgotten. Looks can fade. But a single, intentional touch lingers in the memory like a spark you can't stop replaying. The difference between random and intentional touch. Here's the secret. Not all touch is created equal. Random touch can feel needy, awkward, or even invasive. But intentional touch is different. It's relaxed, confident, and rooted in presence. For example, you laugh at something he says and gently brush his arm with your hand for just a moment longer than necessary. You're leaning in to hear him better in a noisy room, and your knee brushes is under the table, and you let it linger before pulling back. As you're walking together, you lightly touch his shoulder as you guide him through a doorway. Notice the difference. None of these are bold or aggressive. They are subtle, fleeting, but charged. They whisper, "I feel comfortable with you. I want to connect with you." Why subtlety matters. Many women underestimate how little it takes to awaken desire in a man. They think they need to be overtly sexual, wear revealing clothes, or make dramatic moves. But the truth is, men crave subtle signals even more. Why? Because subtle touch allows his imagination to run wild. It gives him space to wonder, to anticipate, to feel the buildup of tension. And attraction thrives on tension. Carl Jung said, "There can be no transforming of darkness into light and of apathy into movement without emotion." Subtle touch creates that movement. It stirs emotion, excitement, and curiosity. It transforms stillness into chemistry. How to use intentional touch naturally. So how do you start using touch with intention? In a way that feels natural and not forced? Here are a few simple ways. 1. The arm brush. When he says something funny, laugh and lightly touch his forearm. Keep your hand there just a second longer than normal before letting go. 2. The shoulder anchor. As you pass by him, rest your hand briefly on his shoulder. This communicates presence and confidence. 3. The knee graze. If you're sitting close, let your knee gently brush his. Don't overdo it. Let it be casual but deliberate. 4. The guiding hand. When moving through a crowd or doorway, lightly place your hand on his back or arm to guide him forward. 5. The lingering goodbye. When saying goodbye, hold his hand for a moment longer, or squeeze his arm gently as you part ways. Each of these touches is small, but the emotional effect is huge. What intentional touch communicates? Intentional touch sends 3 powerful messages to a man. 1. I'm comfortable in my body. Confidence in your body is magnetic. When you touch naturally, you show that you're not guarded or insecure. 2. I feel safe with you. Men deeply crave to be the protector, the safe space for a woman. When you touch him intentionally, it signals that you trust him enough to close the distance. 3. I desire you without words. Desire doesn't always need to be spoken. Sometimes, the way your hand lingers says far more than your lips ever could. Why men crave this kind of touch? Men aren't just looking for physical pleasure. They're craving connection. An intentional touch bridges the gap between the physical and emotional. When a woman touches with presence and softness, it awakens a man's protector instinct, his desire and his curiosity all at once. It makes him feel alive in your presence. Think about it. In a world where everyone is glued to their phones, distracted and guarded, a single moment of intentional touch feels rare and unforgettable. That rarity is what makes it so magnetic. A practical example. Picture this. You're on a date at a cozy cafe. He's telling you a story that makes you laugh. Without thinking too hard, you gently place your hand on his arm as you laugh, then pull it back slowly. You keep eye contact, your smile soft, your energy warm. He feels it instantly. His body responds before his mind even catches up. And long after the date, what he remembers most isn't just your words, it's the way your touch made him feel. That's the power of touch with intention. The energy behind the touch. Here's something important. It's not just the physical contact. It's the energy behind it. If you touch him because you're desperate for attention, it will feel needy. But if you touch him because you're present, playful, and grounded in your body, it feels magnetic. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart." The same applies here. When your touch comes from a place of clarity, confidence, and warmth, it communicates volumes without a word. So here's your takeaway. Start experimenting with intentional touch in small, subtle ways. Don't overthink it. Don't force it. Let it flow naturally in moments of connection. Remember, intentional touch is not about seducing with force. It's about whispering desire, showing comfort, and letting your energy speak louder than words. This is the second key feminine habit, and when you combine it with playful teasing, you create a double effect: emotional spark plus physical chemistry. Together they form a bond that feels electric. But we're only just beginning. In part 3, we'll explore something that men rarely talk about, but feel deeply: softness without weakness. This is where feminine energy becomes truly magnetic, because it balances vulnerability with strength. Carl Jung reminds us, the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Softness isn't weakness, it's the courage to be fully yourself, emotionally open and real. And that, more than anything else, pulls a man in on every level. Habit 3. The magnetic power of softness without weakness. Ladies, we've talked about playful teasing and intentional touch, two habits that light up chemistry quickly. But now, we're going deeper into something more subtle, more emotional, and honestly, more rare in today's world. Softness without weakness. This feminine habit is one of the most misunderstood. Many women fear being soft, because society has conditioned them to believe softness means weakness, submission, or losing power. But the truth is the opposite. When expressed authentically, softness is one of the most powerful forces of attraction you can embody. Carl Jung once said, "The paradox is one of our most valued spiritual possessions. Only the paradox comes anywhere near to comprehending the fullness of life." Softness without weakness is exactly that paradox. It's being open without being fragile, being vulnerable without being powerless, being receptive without losing your strength. And when a man experiences this kind of softness in a woman, it pulls him in like nothing else. Why softness is so rare and so magnetic? Let's be honest. The modern world often tells women, be strong, be independent, never need anyone. While independence is beautiful and necessary, the problem is when it goes too far. Many women end up putting on emotional armor, walls of toughness to protect themselves. And while that armor keeps pain out, it also keeps intimacy out. Men can sense it. When a woman is guarded, overly logical, or always in control, he feels it. There's no space for him to step in, no polarity to create attraction. But when a woman embodies softness, not fake sweetness, not people-pleasing, but true emotional openness, it's like a breath of fresh air. Men lean in because they finally feel invited to show up in their strength. Softness doesn't mean submission. Let's make one thing clear. Softness is not submission. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. It doesn't mean ignoring your boundaries. It doesn't mean staying quiet when something hurts. In fact, softness requires incredible strength. It takes courage to say, that hurt me. It takes strength to admit, I need clarity, instead of shutting down or playing games. True softness is about expressing your feelings honestly, without blame or control. It's about being real, being human, and being emotionally alive. Carl Jung observed, there is no coming to consciousness without pain. Softness often requires that pain, being honest about how you feel, even when it's uncomfortable, but that honesty awakens true connection. How men respond to softness. When you embody softness, something fascinating happens. Men naturally rise into their strength. It's not about making them the boss or putting yourself below them. It's about creating polarity, the natural balance of masculine and feminine energy that fuels desire. Masculine energy is about direction, protection, and structure. Feminine energy is about openness, receptivity, and flow. When you allow yourself to be soft, you create space for him to step into his strength. And men crave this. Deep down, every man wants to feel needed. Not because you're weak, but because you've created space for him to give, to protect, to cherish. What softness looks like in action. So what does softness without weakness actually look like? In conversation, instead of shutting down or snapping when something bothers you, you calmly say, that really hurt me. Or, I feel confused. Can you help me understand? In presence, when he talks, you hold eye contact, you really listen. You let your body relax, and you respond with warmth instead of defensiveness. In vulnerability, you admit when you're nervous, when you miss him, when you feel tender, instead of pretending you don't care. Notice something. In all these examples, you're not powerless. You're not giving up your boundaries. You're simply allowing your authentic emotions to be seen. That's what draws him in. Why softness is irresistible. Men are constantly pressured to be strong, stoic, and logical. Most of the world doesn't give them space to feel, to relax, to just be. But when they encounter a woman who embodies softness, they feel something different. They feel safe. They feel at home. They feel like they can put down their armor too. This is why softness is magnetic. It awakens a man's desire not just for sex, but for connection. It pulls him out of his head and into his heart. It makes him want to protect, cherish, and pursue you, because your openness brings out his depth. Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Softness is the catalyst that transforms a simple interaction into something intimate and unforgettable, balancing softness with strength. Of course, the key is balance. Softness without boundaries leads to people-pleasing and getting hurt. Strength without softness leads to coldness and disconnection. The magic happens when you embody both. You can be soft in expressing your feelings, but strong in holding your boundaries. You can be open to connection, but firm about what you deserve. You can be vulnerable, but also self-respecting. This balance is what men find magnetic. It tells them, I'm not fragile, but I'm not closed off either. I'm real, I'm open, and I'm alive. A story example. Let's imagine this. A woman is dating a man she really likes. One evening, he makes a joke that stings a little. Most women might do one of two things. Either laugh it off and secretly resent it, or snap at him with coldness. But instead, she looks at him softly and says, "Hey, that actually hurt a little." Her tone isn't accusing, it's simply vulnerable. She doesn't blame, she just expresses. What happens? He pauses, he sees her. He apologizes because her softness awakens his protective side. He feels drawn closer, not pushed away. This small moment deepens the bond, because she chose softness instead of defensiveness. Why most women struggle with softness? Most women avoid softness because of fear. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being judged. Fear of appearing weak. But here's the truth. Real confidence isn't about never being vulnerable. Real confidence is being so grounded in your worth that you can be soft without losing yourself. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Softness is exactly that. Accepting your emotions, your tenderness, your humanity completely. And that acceptance makes you magnetic. So here's your takeaway. Embrace softness not as weakness, but as strength. Practice expressing how you feel with openness and warmth. Let your guard down just enough to let him in, while still honoring your boundaries. Softness without weakness is one of the most captivating feminine habits, because it creates polarity, connection, and trust all at once. When you combine it with playful teasing and intentional touch, you're now sparking attraction emotionally, mentally, and physically. That's what makes men feel not just interested, but enchanted. Habit number 4. Expressive body language, speaking the silent language of desire. Up until now, we've focused on playful teasing, intentional touch, and the magnetic force of softness. Each of these creates attraction on emotional and physical levels. But now, we're stepping into something even more primal. The language. You speak without saying a word. Expressive body language is one of the most powerful tools of feminine energy, because men don't just listen to your words. They feel your energy through the way you move, the way you hold yourself, and the way you express emotion through your body. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Body language is the unconscious made visible. You may not realize it, but every tilt of your head, every shift of your posture, every flicker of your smile is communicating something. And when you learn to embody this language intentionally, you don't just catch a man's eye, you capture his attention completely. Why body language is more powerful than words. Think about this. Studies show that up to 70% of communication is nonverbal. That means men are picking up far more from your gestures, posture, and expressions than from the words you say. For men, body language is the green light or red light for attraction. It tells him if it's safe to approach, if you're interested, if you're open, or if you're closed off. And unlike words, body language is harder to fake. That's why it's so magnetic. It reveals what's really happening in your energy. Feminine body language as invitation. Here's the key. Feminine body language isn't about demanding attention. It's about inviting it. Picture this. A woman enters a room. She's not the most conventionally beautiful, but the way she moves, graceful, relaxed, open, turns heads. She makes eye contact, her smile lingers, her gestures flow. She doesn't push for attention. She allows it to come to her. That's the essence of feminine body language. It's a silent invitation that says, "You're welcome here. I enjoy this moment. You don't need to prove yourself. I'm open to connection." Men find this irresistible because it removes pressure and awakens desire. The subtle signals men notice. Here are some of the most powerful body language cues that spark attraction. 1. Eye contact that lingers. A few seconds of held eye contact, followed by a soft smile, is one of the strongest signals of interest. It's playful, magnetic, and unforgettable. 2. Head tilt while listening. Tilting your head slightly when he speaks communicates curiosity and attentiveness. It makes him feel heard, which men crave deeply. 3. Leaning in when excited. When you lean in during a story or moment, it tells him you're engaged and intrigued. It makes him feel like his presence matters. 4. Open posture. Relaxed shoulders, uncrossed arms, facing him directly. This openness tells him you're receptive to connection. 5. Expressive facial reactions. Raised eyebrows when surprised. Laughing freely when amused. Soft smiles when you're touched by his words. These micro-expressions show you're alive and present. 6. Playful movements. Lightly touching your hair when intrigued. Gesturing with your hands naturally, or moving with flow instead of stiffness. These subtle movements communicate femininity and openness. Why expressiveness matters. Many women unintentionally block attraction with their body language. They cross their arms, keep stiff posture, avoid eye contact, or give neutral reactions to protect themselves. But this guardedness reads as disinterest or even rejection to men. Expressiveness, on the other hand, makes him feel safe to engage. It shows warmth. It tells him, "I'm here, I'm open, I'm alive." Carl Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances." Your body language is often the first spark of that reaction. It's the unspoken cue that ignites everything else, embodying openness without trying too hard. Here's the beauty of expressive body language. It doesn't require you to perform or exaggerate. You don't need to overdo your gestures or fake your reactions. It's about being present in your body and letting your natural emotions flow through. For example, when you're amused, let your laugh be full instead of holding it back. When you're touched by something he says, let your eyes soften and your smile linger. When you're curious, lean in naturally, without worrying how you look. It's less about technique and more about authenticity. A practical scenario. Imagine this. You're at a party. Across the room you catch a man's eye. Instead of looking away nervously, you hold the gaze for 2 seconds. Then smile softly before turning away. Instantly he feels the pull. Later, when he approaches and starts a conversation, you tilt your head slightly as he speaks, nodding with curiosity. You laugh freely when he says something funny, touching your hair lightly as you lean in closer. Your body language in this moment is an entire conversation. I see you. I enjoy you. You're welcome here. That energy is magnetic. Why men find this hypnotic? Men are highly visual, but it's not just about physical looks. It's about energy. When your body language is expressive, it radiates warmth and presence that draws him in. He feels invited, not pressured. He feels intrigued, not overwhelmed. It's hypnotic because it communicates interest while leaving space for him to act. It's the balance of openness and mystery that fuels pursuit. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do, not what you say you'll do." Your body language is the clearest reflection of who you are in that moment. When it's alive, expressive, and open, men feel it in their body before they even realize it in their mind, shifting from guarded to radiant. Many women accidentally sabotage attraction by being too guarded. They overthink their posture, worry about seeming too eager, or suppress their natural reactions. But attraction doesn't come from perfection. It comes from presence. The shift happens when you stop performing and start experiencing. When you let yourself feel fully, your body naturally expresses it. So instead of thinking, "What should I do with my hands?" ask yourself, "Am I present? Am I enjoying this?" When you focus on the experience, your body naturally communicates magnetism. So here's your takeaway. Allow your body to express what your heart feels. Don't hide behind stiffness or guardedness. Use your eyes, your smile, your gestures, your posture to communicate openness and warmth. Expressive body language isn't about being perfect. It's about being alive. And when you embody this, men don't just notice you, they feel magnetically pulled to you without even knowing why. Combine this with playful teasing, intentional touch, and softness, and you're now operating on all levels: emotional, physical, and energetic. That's why men don't just find you attractive. They find you unforgettable. So far, we've explored the feminine habits that spark instant chemistry: playful teasing, intentional touch, softness, and expressive body language. Each of these creates attraction in its own way. But here's the truth. None of those matter if your inner light isn't on. The most magnetic feminine habit, the one that outshines beauty, charm, or even sensuality, is being turned on by life itself. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. A woman who is lit up by her own life, who radiates joy, passion, and vitality is irresistible. She doesn't need a man to complete her. She invites him into a world that is already rich, vibrant, and alive." Why this is the final piece. Attraction isn't just about what you do with a man, it's about who you are without him. You can flirt, touch, smile, and tease, but if deep down you feel empty, bitter, or disconnected from life, men will sense it. Energy doesn't lie. On the other hand, when you're genuinely excited about your life, when you pursue passions, nurture friendships, and create joy in your own world, you radiate a glow that no man can ignore. It's the difference between wanting someone to fill a void and inviting someone to share your overflowing cup. One repels, the other magnetizes. Men are drawn to radiance. Here's the thing. Men don't just want beauty. They want radiance. Radiance is the spark in your eyes, the warmth in your smile, the aliveness in your movements. It's not something you can fake. It shines when you're deeply connected to your own joy. A radiant woman makes a man feel alive too. Her presence awakens something in him. He wants to be around her, not just because she's attractive, but because she makes life feel brighter, more colorful, more exciting. Carl Jung put it perfectly. As far as we can discern, the sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. A radiant woman is that light, what being turned on by life looks like. So what does it actually mean to be turned on by life? It's not about pretending to be happy all the time. It's about cultivating passion, curiosity, and presence in your daily experience. You pursue passions, whether it's painting, traveling, dancing, or building a career you love. You do things that light you up. You cultivate joy in the small moments, savoring a cup of coffee, laughing with friends, feeling the sun on your skin. You let yourself feel alive in the present. You invest in your growth. Reading, learning, healing, exploring, you're always becoming more of yourself. You radiate gratitude. Instead of focusing on lack, you celebrate what's already beautiful in your life. This aliveness is contagious. Men feel it instantly. The difference between needing and inviting. Here's the secret. When you're turned on by life, men don't feel like they're responsible for your happiness. They feel invited into it. That's the difference between a draining relationship and an inspiring one. A woman who feels empty subconsciously looks to a man to fill her. This creates pressure. A woman who feels alive invites a man to join her in her joy. This creates attraction. Men are not looking to rescue someone from boredom or misery. They're drawn to women who already shine, and who make space for them to shine alongside her. A story example. Imagine two women at the same cafe. One sits stiffly, scrolling on her phone, sighing every few minutes. She looks bored, restless, like she's waiting for something to happen. The other sits by the window, smiling as she sketches in her notebook, occasionally closing her eyes to enjoy the sun on her face. She laughs softly at something she writes, radiating ease and joy. Which one do you think men are more likely to notice? The second woman is magnetic, not because of her looks, but because she's turned on by life in that moment. Her energy makes people curious. She becomes unforgettable, even to strangers. How to cultivate this radiance? You might be wondering, how do I become more turned on by life if I don't feel that way right now? Here are 3 simple practices. 1. Do one thing daily that lights you up. Even small things. A walk, dancing to music, journaling, cooking a new recipe. Pleasure builds momentum. 2. Practice presence. Slow down and savor your experiences. Taste your food. Feel the texture of your clothes. Notice the color of the sky. Presence deepens joy. 3. Express gratitude out loud. Say, I love this, or this feels so good, even for little things. Expressiveness trains your mind and body to radiate more joy. When you do this consistently, you'll notice something shift. Your energy changes. You feel more alive, more magnetic, more yourself. And men feel it too. Why this is the ultimate feminine habit. Being turned on by life is the most magnetic, feminine habit because it requires nothing external. It's not about tricks or strategies. It's about embodying your true vitality. Carl Jung said, the most intense conflicts, if overcome, leave behind a sense of security and calm that is not easily disturbed. When you're deeply turned on by life, you radiate that security. You don't chase, you don't cling, you don't settle. Instead, you invite, you attract, you inspire. This is what makes men not only desire you, but cherish you. Because your presence doesn't just add beauty to their life, it transforms it. When you embody these habits, you're no longer trying to make a man want you. You're simply living in your natural, feminine radiance, and men can't help but be drawn to that energy. Carl Jung reminded us, the meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. When you live turned on by life, every interaction becomes transformational. Not just for him, but for you. You become not just magnetic to men, but magnetic to life itself. And that, dear one, is the essence of feminine magnetism. Ready to step fully into your feminine magnetism? You've just unlocked the 5 habits that make men not only notice you, but never forget you. But this is just the beginning. When you subscribe, you'll receive exclusive insights, deeper practices, and step-by-step guidance on embodying the radiant, magnetic woman you were born to be. Don't just read about attraction, live it. Don't just wait for chemistry, create it. Don't just hope to be chosen, become unforgettable. Subscribe now and join thousands of women awakening their feminine power today.